All right.
Here we go. Hey everybody, Rocco Castellano here with my business partner, Neil Venkatraman. Look at me.
Hey, first time, right?
Holy shit. I think that's just gonna be like the running fucking joke here from now on.
Yeah, probably.
What is your partner's name? It'll be like people are gonna come to our seminars and workshops and they're gonna be like, what's your partner's name, asshole?
Yeah.
Well, today we're going to be talking about, you know what's really, really cool? We have a Facebook fan page called Fitness Marketing, and it's at facebook.com, a personal trainer marketing domination. It's a long-ass thing, but just look up Fitness Marketing, and you'll get there on Facebook. And one of the best things about that fan page, one, we got over 10,000 fans. That's always cool. The other thing is that we get a lot of questions and a lot of messages because we put these questions on, on Facebook, as a post, and people comment. And I want to thank you guys for commenting on it because it's really, really, it gives us, great topics to talk about. Also, it shows us what you're doing, what you're missing, what could be done better. And so this Wednesday, obviously today, we're talking about fitness pricing and really how to best price your services and your products, because I mean, we have clients all over the world, and so many times, Neil, when somebody's just starting off, or when they come to us as clients, we look at their prices and we go, holy shit! Either you're asking way too much money, or most likely you're not asking enough money for your service. And that's more the case. Than we see with, like too much money. I would rather you ask for too much money and then lower your prices than ask for too less a lot of times. And that's just a joke. I'm only kidding. That's not what we actually believe in. You can always raise your prices. It's very, very hard to lower your prices because people are going to, basically fuck with you and say, oh, they charge $250 an hour. And so, and that's the price that's in the customer's mind. So, Neil, you are like the research guru here at Rocco Media. So we always, I always go to you first because you always have like the statistics. You are the Ask Rocco Media numbers guy. So, so give us some numbers here.
I mean, I don't have numbers, but like to start off with, though, it's, what I want to share with you is a mindset tip first, based on what I'm seeing and what people are doing.
So we're totally changing up the whole format.
Yeah, I'm totally changing up the format today. But I will give you some stats and formulas and stuff later on, so don't worry. We're not going to get away that easy. Okay. So the mind shift that I want to tell everyone with pricing is simply this, and it's specifically if you're a fitness trainer, personal trainer, Zumba, yoga, martial arts, whatever. And I'm talking specifically in the fitness business, right? And the mindset is this. If you're not in the top percentile, like in the 95% range, the top range of being the highest paid in your local market, then one of two things are going to happen, and I'll explain this. Number one, you're either going to become a commodity, or number two, you're probably going to end up going out of business. Okay? And here's why. If you're not the top, or in the top percentage of people, the highest paid in your local market, here's what's going to happen. Number one, in order to grow any business, I don't care whether it's a fitness business or any market, any local business, you're going to need money. Now, let's just say you charge $100 or $50 an hour for your services, and the top person in your market is charging $70 an hour for services. If you're doing that, your competitor has a $20 buffer on you. Okay, they can always outspend you and outmarket you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Period. It's not conjecture. It's not me talking about stuff. It's pure economics and numbers. That's how the world works. Okay, so especially if you're a local business, if you're not in the top range, and if someone want to outspend you or outmarket you, you got no chance of ever building a huge successful business in your local market. The numbers just don't make sense. So number one, you've got to be at that level. Number two, if you don't be at that level, it's okay if you're at the current level, but remember one thing, you're a commodity, because you're either in the middle tier or you're probably the cheapest, right? But, so who wants to buy the cheapest personal training service or workout service? Because we're all conditioned to believe cheap, the quality is low, period. I don't care how you can explain it to me, what you can do. I'm talking about the mindset of your customer for a second. They always believe cheap is of low quality, and you're always going to get what you pay for, the normal rhetoric. So the concept I want to leave you here today, and I'm going to share with you some awesome tips on how to evaluate. The simple concept is, if you're not working your way up the ladder to get to be the highest or the top range in your market, you're going to be in trouble at some times. It's just a matter of economics. So your focus should be on getting there and getting there fast.
Well, and Neil, so many times I hear this from from clients of ours. Oh well, I want to give people value. I want to make sure that I'm in. What did someone just say the other day to me? And I really just wanted to jump through the phone and like choke them to death. But the thing was that they kept saying, "Oh well, I don't want." Well, no. Here's the problem, and this is it. I'm just gonna fucking throw it out there because it is. People, and mostly fitness trainers, think, or they're afraid to ask people for money. And so they don't necessarily know what they should be charging, and not one person, every single client that we have ever taken on, Neil, and I don't understand this, but they never do a competitor comparison.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
They don't even know. They just say, you know what, I should charge $60 an hour, and they pull it out of their ass, like they just totally pull it out of their ass. So, so that's going to be one of the things Neil's going to most likely, I know, because he's the best at this shit, and we always have a client, a competition matrix, and that's the one thing that we always have whenever we do a boot camp, a business boot camp here. So most likely Neil's going to show you the competition matrix or something like that.
Right. I mean, here's a simple formula, right? If you want to price your service, and we'll break it down and we'll talk about the competition and stuff like that. The simple formula for pricing your service is the price you charge today. And I know math is a very bad thing to talk about in the fitness industry, but I'm going to try. The price you charge today for your service is equal to the market price plus value. I'm just going to repeat that quickly. The price you should be charging should be based on market price plus value. Okay? So let me get down to the first part of the equation of the formula here, the market price. How do you price your service? And we'll talk about value in a little bit in this call. The way you price your service is three-step approach. I'm going to give you a very simple formula. It's not going to be difficult. You can all get this, and for the purpose of the conversation, I'm going to keep it simple. But it's impactful. The first thing you start with pricing is you go and look at the market price. Okay, you go look at the national price. And what I mean by that is you go in and say, what is the price for personal training on a national level? what is the rate per hour? What is the packages per hour? You want to get a sense of what the broad market is, so you don't force yourself into a corner. Very simple formula. You can go online and type it in, what's the cost of personal training services, whether it's $40 an hour, it ranges from $40 all the way to $100. The top end, celebrity trainers make, a couple of hundred to thousands of dollars, but you want to go to the national stats first. Okay, that's part one. Part two, what you want to do is you want to go to your local market, and here's what you need to do. I want you to go to your local market, and then within a 5-mile radius of where you are, or maybe a 10-mile radius, typically 5-mile radius, you want to see what your competition is charging for their services in detail. Whether they're charging single, whether it's premium, whether it's group rates, how are they pricing their service, okay? And the reason I say 5 miles, because 5 to 10 miles, most people don't travel more than 5 to 10 miles from a gym, right? There's hundreds of studies. HRSA, which is the health group, they just revealed a study and said people don't travel more than 5 miles, generally speaking, or they quit.
7 minutes. Everybody used to go by. Everyone used to go by 15 minutes or like 20 minutes away, and that's not true anyway. It's an absolute lie. So if you're thinking 15 minutes that people are going to travel 15 minutes, it's not true. The average person, the average customer now will only travel 7 minutes, and a lot of times if the people are at work, and their work is like 15 minutes away, if you're in between their work and their home, you may get them, but it's most likely 7 minutes away from now on. So if it's 5 miles, 5 to 10 miles, think about it in a minute, because if you're in California and your 5-mile radius is actually a half an hour. In New York or Jersey, 5 miles could take you 20 minutes to get to. In Vegas, 15 minutes takes you about 15 miles takes you about 10 minutes. So you can get to different places, but where you are, I'd like you to start thinking about it not in so much miles, but in minutes.
Right. So now that you got the number of minutes people will travel, call up the competition within that 7-minute radius from where you are, right? And then find out in detail what they charge. So step 1, you got the market stats. Step 2, the national stats. Step 2, you got the local competition. Step 3, now average out that. It could be $50 to $70 an hour, $100 an hour. You'll know what your stats are. So let's just say it's $70 an hour is the or $50 is the average, right? So you go and look at the average for local, and then you say, who is the top end of that market? Then you can probably find someone at the $70 or $80 level an hour. And once you have that, now you know where you need to be pricing. So in your case, even if you're starting at 50, if you're starting at 20 an hour, you obviously miss the mark completely, right? Your business economically is going to be in serious trouble, so you need to move that up. You need to get to the average, $50, but more importantly, you should be targeting that $70 an hour. You need to be in the top range. Now, why did I ask you for national stats, right? Why can't you just go locally and get the numbers? You see, sometimes you could be in an area where the rate is $40 an hour. Let's just use an example. It's $40 an hour. But nationally, the rates on average are $70 an hour. Okay? Now, you got to ask yourself this question. You're playing in a market where your highest end competitor is only $40 an hour in pricing, and you know you can't get more than that because maybe the average salary is less than $40,000 a year, right? And you know that nationally the rates are $70 to $80 an hour. I've got some really bad news for you. You got to move. There's no way you can run or build a business because your pricing will never let you earn a stable income in that particular market. It's simple economics. I explained this maybe in a long-winded way, but bottom line is this. You've got to be in line with national, and you got to be the highest in your local market if you want to run a successful long-term business. That's a very quick 3-step formula for benchmarking your pricing and getting your pricing right.
Well, and also, you make a really good point about the national average, because when I raised my prices, right, when I had my personal training business in Cincinnati, the funny thing, right, was that I was charging the average, price at like, $40, $50 an hour, right, for, like per person. But when I raised my rates to 110, a funny thing happened. I was in line with a lot of the New York, where I came from like Jersey and New York. So the funny thing that happened to me was I started to get a lot of the New York and the New Jersey transient people that came, and they were also attracted to my accent and my attitude. But the thing was, I priced myself to where they felt comfortable coming to me. They literally didn't feel comfortable coming or going to other trainers that were $50 an hour.
It's a great point, right? So number one, we spoke a little bit about the formula for pricing, 3-step method. Number two, now that we have the pricing in hand, now what you're going to do is, if you're going to be the top percent or quartile in your market, remember, if you're not, you're going to be in serious trouble. You need to deliver value, okay? And I think this is the hard thing, Rocco, why people fall down in pricing, right? It's this value piece, because I feel that the problem is that your mindset is holding you back. There's no other way to say it. It's what I don't know what the right word here is, but it's almost like you have an insecurity within you that you feel you can't charge the $70, the $80, $100 an hour because maybe you're just getting started. Maybe you feel that you've never charged that amount before and therefore you can't do it. So this insecurity within yourself tells you, hey, I can't charge. And number two, if you're not secure about what you can show as value, how your clients are going to understand that? You're never going to get it. So the thing is, step one is getting over that insecurity or fear that you're worth 80, 90, or $100 an hour.
Well, and so many people out there, they don't necessarily understand what value really is. Okay, and I want to put this in your brain. I want to actually take a sledgehammer and smash it into your brain, because the thing about value is that people are I need you to really understand that your value is whatever you can teach your client and what they're willing to pay for it. Most fitness trainers out there believe that they have to go through all this training, all this knowledge, get 1,700 certifications, and go to get this certification, get more CEUs over here before they can even price their prices at like $80 or $100. That's not true. Okay, I want you to really understand this. You just have to know more than your customer. If your client, now I'm not saying that you should just be off the boat, or like out of a certification and start charging $150. You don't have that experience. But I got to tell you, when I first moved to Cincinnati, I couldn't charge, $110 because nobody was charging that. Okay, when I got a year and like 2 years under my belt there in Cincinnati, that's when I went from $55 to $110, and I doubled my prices because I knew that there were people that were willing to pay for that. And like that's the thing, you you have to know that you are smarter than these people, and it's your business and not their business. Don't let customers dictate how much they're going to pay. And one other thing that I did want to mention, when Neil was talking to you about doing like the competitive or the comparison with your competitors, don't just go to their website, because most people lie. And I want to tell you, most people lie, because if you go after the single session and it says 110, it's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit, because most people try to get, people in a deal. So if it's like 3 sessions or whatever, look at and call these people up. Call them up and see exactly what they are charging. Or have somebody call them up and find out the real price, because if it says like 110 an hour on their website, most likely they're only charging $80 an hour. Or if it says $80 an hour, they're charging $60 an hour, because they're giving them some type of like deal. So make sure that you actually know what your competitors are charging, because on the website, most of the time it's a lie.
Right.
So I just wanted to make that point, Neil, because people are going to be going and like trying to research after this call, and they're going to be dealing with wrong numbers.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, calling them. Just to get back to the value, I mean, two points I want to make here. Number one, the reason why you were so successful, because look, push-up is a push-up. I don't think sit-up is a sit-up. I may not be technical, right? Tell me to drink 8 glasses of water is drinking 8 glasses of water. The reason why you were so successful, Rock, part of the value you delivered was the story. You were in radio. You educated people. You helped them. You helped them get a result. Number one, when they walked in, you knew you could get that person a result better than they can get it on their own. You knew that, right? Number one.
Right, absolutely, sure.
Yeah, and that's the journey, the customer journey. We probably need to have another call on that. Every trainer, the value is if you know you can take a client through a journey and get them the result, that's your value. And number two, you need to communicate that value. Communicate the value in terms of stories, blog posts, videos, whatever it is. When you demonstrate that, there is no doubt in people's mind that it's you that they want to work with, and they will pay the price you're asking because they understand the value. One last point I want to do on value, something we talk about in our Dominate to Disappear $2,000 weekend seminar. So I want to give you a big tip here about value, especially when it comes to pricing, because the biggest thing you're gonna fear, or people are gonna ask you, hey, why are you charging $80 or $100 an hour? How do you overcome that price objection? One way to do that is to get live video testimonials, not written testimonials. Video testimonials from your customers who are paying you $80 an hour and say they absolutely love it and it's the best investment in the world you can make and people should do it and this is what they're getting. Because when they talk about the price objections, your clients, when they see this story on your website and everywhere, they're not even going to argue with it. If they see other people are passionate and getting the value, and it's the biggest tool that I see, that if you're scared of charging $80 and scared of explaining it, it's the biggest tool to overcome that price objection. The problem is 95% of all websites, no one addresses price objection. Anyway, so what happens is when you talk to the client for the first time, it's like a cold conversation you're having, and it's a very difficult conversation to have. You can't justify your prices. I mean, obviously you can through all the things you do, but your testimonials, video testimonials, is probably the best tool to prove that you were at $70, $80, $90, or $100 an hour. And this is something we go into quite in depth in our business weekends, but I want to share that tip.
Well, and Neil, everyone's going to do research on you. Mm-hmm. They're gonna go to your website. They're going to click, and they want to know you, like you, and like trust you before they come into your place. So they're going to go to the website. They're going to want to make some type of a connection, do their research on you. So one of those research tools is they're going to look at the price, and then if they see, and Neil, you always do it. You will always make this a really, really important point when we're doing like the weekends. It's make sure that there's a headline.
Yep.
You know, on that social proof that says, you know, it was the best. You know, it's the best place for the money, or you know, it's the best $80 I ever spent. You know, or you know, like that headline, because Neil always talks about this, and he did a great job this last one about how people scan. People do not read your website ever. They scan your website looking for the shit that they think will answer their questions. So that headline right there, boom, you know, it automatically, you know, offsets that price objection.
Right. Just one last point before we get off this. Now, when you're thinking about pricing, there's different levels of pricing that you need to consider in your business. One of it is the pricing for your services, $80 an hour, package services, whatnot. There's two other pricings that a lot of people forget about and find themselves in a lot of trouble. The first pricing is that when you have a lead magnet on your site, right, when you're giving something away for free, that price is an important factor of how you set up how much you're going to charge for your services later on, right? A typical lead magnet is if you're running a Groupon or a Living Social deal, right? And what happens is you give away, you know, 1 month for $27 or 4 weeks for $27, right? When you do that, when you do that in Groupon, right, what you're doing is you're setting the psychology up. But remember, it's not a price you charge, it's a price for getting a lead in. You're getting paid to get a lead in, right? So when you set it up for $27 for 4 weeks or whatever, remember, in that you've got to really articulate what your real value in pricing is, because you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot. Get someone in for $27 and then you're charging $197 a month, and they don't really understand that. So how you position your price across your website is extremely critical. So if you're doing this Groupon deal for $27, make sure you tell them the real value of the service is $197. Or if you're putting, hey, I got a free trial for 1 week on my website, that's a price distinction there, right? And then you can't all of a sudden charge $100 an hour. You've got to explain and prove that price, because when you do that, you position people not to negotiate with you or to you know, barter with you and say, hey, that's too high, and then you drop your rates down. So all these things matter in the way you position your price. So I don't want you to forget that, because so often people, when pricing, will say, hey, $1 trial for a week, and all of a sudden they're charging $100 an hour. Or they'll say, hey, $1 trial for a week, and they'll price their services at $20 an hour. Good for the client, bad for you. You know what I mean? The price discussion need to be set up in everything you do, so at the end of the day, it doesn't become a discussion, and people know what you're going to pay, what to expect, and need to use the right price points, whether it's a lead magnet, an introductory offer, or a close. You know how to position that. So I just want to leave that final piece to make sure that you consider it correctly when you're doing this new website.
Well, and also I am so against, I can't tell you, against these free consultation things. You know, because that, like you just said, automatically sets people up to not want to pay you. You know, my biggest revenue generation thing was, you know, and I've said this, you know, before, is, you know, I used to charge, you know, $250 an hour for my consultations. But the thing is, I set people up to know that they had to pay me, and most times, you know, like the trainers out there, they'll do a free consultation, and all a free consultation really is, and the customer's smart people, they're not stupid. You know, they know that the free consultation is a fucking sales pitch, and that's all they're gonna get. And so when you're creating a consultation or you're doing something like that, you want to charge for it and then give them what they're supposed to be getting, the information, and give them a solution to their problem from that consultation. Now, the closing that I always did in my consultation is fucking notorious and also famous because I closed at every consultation 100% of the time. And the reason why was because, one, I got them to pay me $250, and they were, they were conditioned to, if they were going to do personal training, and they thought that, they needed the personal training, they would pay me whatever it is to solve their problem. And one really important point, and I don't want to give everything away that we do at these business boot camps or the seminar that we're going to be doing here in San Francisco, but one thing that I really want people to start to think about is to start putting deadlines on their, every trainer out there wants to milk the shit out of their clients. They want to just keep taking money, keep getting money, and they want to hold on to that client, and that's their mindset. What I want people to do, now a client will always stay with you if, even if you give them a 12-week goal, a 15-week goal, right? They, if you're giving them a goal and they get to that goal, they're going to want to get to another goal, and then another goal, and then another goal. But you can't just say, you can't keep shit open-ended. Because a lot of times, people can't see the forest through the trees. They just can't do that. So I want you to really start to think about, segmenting your goals. And don't tell people, oh, well, you're 38% body fat, and so we got to get you down to 21%. Because no one's going to fucking, no one's going to digest that shit. They just don't. So I kind of went on like a little rant there, but
no, that was great, because what you said is, if you're going to have a consultation, it needs to be extremely valuable. It needs to be an experience. Because you're paying $250 for a rock concert ticket, you're going to go there for an hour and a half, and you're going to enjoy the heck out of it. Otherwise, you're not going to go back again, right? So the $250 consultation has got to be that rock concert experience where you get the information, and this is what you do extremely well, Rocco. You get that information, you make it valuable to them, you take them through a system, and then you make an emotional connection for them as to what's going to happen and what's not going to happen. It's a pre-scripted, real-life consultation as opposed to a sales pitch. And that's the valuable thing. And that's when you start charging. So we'll get off that. I think we totally killed our time.
But we're always supposed to,
right.
It's supposed to be a 30-minute hangout, and we're always going over. But I'm so glad that people are want this information. We're more than happy to be giving it to you every Monday and Friday at 12 noon, and on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Neil's in Chicago time, so that's Central Standard. But it's a 12, a California time, and 3 New York time, and I just want you guys to keep going to the Facebook pages, and also to email us. Rocco at AskRoccoMedia.com, Neil at AskRoccoMedia.com, and just say Google Hangouts. Here's a great topic. I really need to know about this, and then we'll talk about it. Also, August 24th in San Francisco at I Love My Body, a fitness boutique. We're going to be doing a one-day, a dominate or disappear a workshop. So I'm going to do, like a quick plug for that. And I want to say thank you so much to Neil. and to remind you that the least you can do is live up to your potential.